Everyone's talking about GTA 6 being $100. And I also think that there's a lot of things pointing in that direction at the end of the day. But Nintendo was looking at it and thinking, wait a minute, we can't let GTA 6 destroy the industry. I'm gonna do it first. So, there we go. Nintendo has already decided it's not even gonna wait for GTA 6. It's just gonna increase the prices for its shitty games. And now Mario Kart is gonna cost $80. People are gonna be very happy, I feel, right?
So Nintendo recently streamed their Switch 2 Direct where they showed off a bunch of games and they shared information about the Nintendo Switch 2. And something that struck me as suspicious was the way that they were completely avoiding sharing anything in the way of price points in the Direct proper. Now, following the Direct, there was a press release that did disclose
Nintendo Switch launches July 5 at $415? Bro! This is well, actually, Nintendo is selling their PS2, PS5 Pro for the Concord tax of $700. So I guess 450 is a discount. Aren't you happy? Aren't you happy to be a gamer? Now, personally, I don't care if the Nintendo Switch 2 costs $1 or $1 billion. I am never gonna buy a handheld. You know why? Because I have self-respect, okay? We already spend most of our days at the computer, just doing whatever, reading, playing games, working, doing this, doing that. It's enough. It's enough time. So, when I'm not at the computer and I'm going outside, I don't want to fucking be on my computer even more, okay? I am not buying a Nintendo Switch. If I want to ruin someone's life, I'm giving them a Nintendo Switch, okay? That's what I'm doing. I'm never doing that to myself. This is gonna be bad, okay? We need to spend less time at the computer, and that's a fact. And we should. But this isn't helping.
the price of the Nintendo Switch 2 itself. It'll launch on June 5th, 2025, with a price point, an MSRP of $450. Now, if you get the bundle that includes Mario Kart World, the new Mario Kart game announced for Nintendo Switch 2, it is exclusive for the console, and it is a launch title. The bundle that comes with the game will be priced at $500. So essentially, if you get the bundle, you get Mario Kart World for $50 instead of its actual MSRP. And the MSRP of Mario Kart World is the main point of this video, as that is something that Nintendo intentionally kept very low key. It's something that they didn't mention in the Direct. It's something that they don't really try to flaunt because they know about the backlash that this would generate. If you go to the official Nintendo website and look at the Mario Kart...
Wait. So, if the console costs if the handheld costs $450, and then the Mario Kart the deal costs $500, if I don't know the price, am I supposed to assume that they gave me a measly $10 fucking discount? Damn, that's a little bit cheap even for Nintendo. Damn.
World page within it. As you scroll down, you'll find information about the game. The game does look awesome, by the way, with the open world that they have introduced and various elements that make this clearly the most ambitious Mario Kart game to date. Like, the game itself actually does...
Putting the words ambitious next to a Nintendo product seems wrong. I'm not gonna lie. Like, Nintendo has been doing the same shit for Mario since the beginning of Dawn, okay? No one knows who was first, Jesus, the dinosaurs, or Nintendo literally not changing their Mario formula.
Look pretty incredible, but then you scroll all the way down and you'll find what is essentially the quote-unquote fine print that Nintendo didn't want you to see. Mario Kart World will launch on June 5th, 2025 alongside the Nintendo Switch, and it will be priced at $80.
Beautiful.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first...
I hope no one buys it and Nintendo dies.
...foray into increasing video game prices by an additional $10. Was not long ago that games went from $60 to $70, and now games are going from $70 to $80, and Nintendo intends to kickstart that with the Nintendo Switch 2. The practice on its own is already scummy as it is, but the fact that
What will they do if GTA 6 comes out, costs $100, and then they're like, shit, we priced everything at 80. Do we need to hike prices again?
Nintendo try to keep this low-key and try to keep customers unaware of this, especially during their big presentation when they try to garner as much positive PR as possible, just makes this even scummier. So what are the implications of this $80 MSRP? Well, as you know, when one company starts something, a trend, and they get away with it, all other companies follow suit. What this means, ladies and gentlemen, is that once this game launches, other companies will feel safe in releasing their games for $80. And they'll say, well, games are expensive to make, and so we need to increase the prices. But as I've said in past videos, games have already increased in price just in really sneaky ways through the implementation of monetization tactics like microtransactions, loot boxes, battle passes, the various editions, that paywall content. Games have become more expensive for consumers. Now,
adding a loot box to a game that you can just not fucking buy because you can control your fucking impulses is not increasing the base price, young, though. Idiot.
you do have those more single...
It's annoying, but it's not increasing the base price, okay? I have never bought a loot box in my life. I will probably never buy a loot box in my life, and I don't find that hard.
Player games or games with online features that are not live services that do not have monetization elements, but even then, to increase the price from $70 to $80 shortly after the price was increased from $60 to $70, it's just something that I guarantee you the gaming community will not find acceptable. But it will become the new normal because Mario Kart is just such a big IP that people will buy this game. It'll ultimately still sell gangbusters.
Is Mario Kart such a big IP? I understand Mario is a big IP in general, but is Mario Kart the giant, enormous IP? I don't know. I don't play Mario Kart. I never want to play Mario Kart.
And seeing the success of an $80 price game kind of achieve that the kind of sales numbers that it'll encourage other companies to follow suit. And so Nintendo is kickstarting this trend where games will essentially become more expensive.
I wonder if they're gonna just do it right off the bat at the start. Now they're gonna increase it over time and all the backlash has ended, but will they do it instantaneously? I don't know, because there's a lot of AAA companies that are literally banking on a game selling 10 million copies to break even, and then they sell 2 million copies and it's a vogue disaster. Yes, I'm looking at you, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Yes, I'm looking at you. Everything BioWare for the past 10 years. And that's right, I'm also looking at you, Bethesda, obviously.
And during the current economic landscape, I mean, this couldn't come at a worse time. I mean, here in America, if wages...
Current economic landscape. Well, that's the most complex word I have ever heard Young say. Jeez.
Kept up with inflation, it'd be one thing, but that's just not been the case. And so for game prices to increase by another $10, the base price that is, I mean, this is just as anti-consumer as things can get. And what sucks about this is that while Mario Kart World will not have monetization elements like microtransactions and battle passes and the like, there will be other companies who...
I mean, are you kidding me? Of course Mario is going to have at some point a battle pass.
...will follow this now $80 MSRP trend and will not just stop at that. They will, on top of that, layer monetization elements like microtransactions, loot boxes, battle passes, editions, so on and so forth. I mean, Nintendo already pushed it when they priced Tears of the Kingdom at $70 instead of traditional $60, but at the very least by then, other companies had set the trend, and one could argue that Tears of the Kingdom is such a massive game that as a single-player game with no other monetization elements, it might justify the price point. Mario Kart World, it looks like a...
Yeah, boys. Yeah, it was big. I liked it. I'm pay $70 for the slap. Young, yeah, said. You gotta love the slop eaters when they are there. Oh no, I think this is worth it. Let's just increase the price for no reason. Shut the fuck up, Young.
great game and all, but is it an $80 game, like $80 base price game? I guarantee you that there are games with far bigger budgets that are far bigger in scale that are priced at $60 to $70 that would kind of put Mario Kart World's $80 MSRP to shame, especially when those now $70 games have gone on to show that even at that price point, you are able to achieve great financial success. You don't need to go full $80 to be able to be sustainable as a game company. And Nintendo knows all of this. It's just they want to keep this information utterly and completely buried. You have to go to the Nintendo website, to the Mario Kart World page, and you have to scroll all the way down to see this information. But this is the internet. No matter how much you try to bury information, people will eventually find it, and when it is...
You know what, Sloppy? Be happy. At least instead of a $10 discount, you're getting a $30 discount. That's 3 times more. That's insanity.
As egregious as this, they'll start spreading word of mouth. And as you can see right here, people are already talking about how scummy this is. Do not buy this. It's a lock. GTA 6 is going to be $100 easy. Honestly, at this point, yeah, I can see that happen. There's been rumors and speculation that Take-Two wants to price GTA 6 at $100, and now they've given all the more justification for it because Nintendo's now setting the bar at $80 minimum to purchase a full-fledged AAA game release. And then something else that the internet has discovered
Yar har har, I'm a pirate, it's fine.
is that Nintendo's pricing digital versus physical games differently, so that $80 price point is just for the digital edition. This right here shows 80 euros, but same difference. The physical version will be 90 euros. So actually, the standard now for games, especially if you want to get them physically, is $90. So now we're really encroaching that $100 base price point MSRP for video games, and it is just something that...
Good. Let the AAA industry die. I want it to happen sooner.
Game companies are going to run with. It is something that's going to give them a level of comfort to be able to keep...
Listen, Avowed literally was a complete disaster from day one. No questions asked. Just because it had a AAA price attached to a AA quality game. People are not going to spend $100 on games, okay? You're increasing the price by that little and probably losing 50% of your sales. Good fucking luck with this, Chief. Good luck.
Pushing the boundaries of what that base price point for games can be. Now, Nintendo isn't going to price games at $80 for digital across the board. So Donkey Kong Bonanza, for example, that's going to be $70 for digital and $80 for physical. But still, that is ultimately a significant price hike, especially for those like me and many others who like their games in physical form, as to not give companies full autonomy over the media that we own.
What a fucking clown. I love how he constantly just caps around. You game, I own my game. No, you don't. No, you don't. You buy this stupid thing in physical form, guess what? There's probably one, no CD there. So, good fucking luck. 2, if there is a CD, now you have to pay Nintendo $500 for a disc reader or something like that. 3, congratulations, your copy was probably unplayable unless you connect to the internet anyway. 4, they probably can literally just deactivate your code for the CD and it doesn't work if they don't feel like it, young. Oh, physical is gonna give me rights and shit. Are communists even into rights? I'm pretty sure they're not, right?
We like to have physical media on hand, so we know that those games can't be taken away from us should something happen to these games and the companies that publish these games and the licenses surrounding them, you name it. And so now that leads me to wonder what the cost will be for other stuff Nintendo's announced that they haven't revealed price points for. In particular, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition games. So if you own Nintendo Switch 1 versions of Nintendo Switch 2 edition games, you are able to upgrade, but what you need to do is purchase upgrade packs. And you can see right here that there are no details as to what the price points will be. So these are the upgrade...
Probably a lot, my guess would be.
...packs that were mentioned in the Nintendo Direct. We were hoping for a situation where Switch 2 would run Switch 1 games better, but what Nintendo's trying to do is monetize that aspect. And while there's
Are you kidding me, Young? There's probably no goddamn reason to even have a Switch 2 at this point. Switch 2 is probably not even better at doing anything than Switch 1. Wait, actually, let's Google that. When was Nintendo Switch 1 released? 2017. Yeah, considering it's that small of a handheld little shitty thing, do you think they actually are gonna upgrade it in that sense? I don't think so.
Some games like Mario Party, Jamboree, and Kirby and the Forgotten Land that are adding significant new content that might make it worth the hopefully cheap price point that will be when it comes to upgrading the games from Switch 1 to Switch 2. Other games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they're essentially just getting graphics and frame rate update and faster loading times and HDR support, all things that should be absolutely free. The one additional thing they're adding is like support for the Zelda Notes game-specific service via Nintendo Switch app, but that by itself.
I like how he honestly demands that that's free. Listen, not to defend fucking Nintendo of all things unholy, but if you buy a game for the Switch 1, and then after a reasonable period of time, which, by the way, 8 years is reasonable period of time in my opinion, Switch 2 comes out, I don't think you honestly have the right to demand that your Switch 1 games work on the Switch 2 and whatever the fuck. Okay? Maybe that's just me, but I feel that that's a little bit greedy, okay? If you're gonna say that, you're not less greedy than the Nintendo themselves.
Should not be worth the upgrade price point. This kind of update.
Okay, Young. Anyway, stop yapping. Young, yeah.
Young out.
Yeah, Young out, bitch. Anyway, bye.